So I wanted to say a quick hello to all of you parents out there of my language arts and reading students. I'm sorry we couldn't do an open house so you could meet me personally, but I thought it might be a good idea to just give you a little introduction to myself. As far as the requirements and the homework policy and the grading policy and all that goes, you can read about that. I may explain that later in a different video, but I felt like we missed the opportunity to get to know each other a little better. When you send your kid off to school, you just send them off into the unknown, and most of the time they're great, and most of the time it's a positive experience. But if your children are anything like mine, you don't get a lot of read of what really goes on, right? And I'm not going to clear that up for you either, but at least you'll know the personality a little bit of one of the teachers, and that might help you feel better about the middle school experience this year for sixth grade. I feel like, middle school is like those monkey bars. I guess they're still in the playground. I don't know, where you have one and you let go of one and you grab the other. And as a parent of a middle schooler, and especially a sixth grader, it's really hard to know whether to help them move to the next rung, stand underneath them and catch them, or let them fall on their face and get back up and try again. There are all kinds of parenting, and there are so many kinds of parenting that are good. And whichever one of those paths you choose is going to work out because you have that unconditional love for your child. But I'm not here to talk about parenting. I'm here to talk about how difficult sometimes it is for parents and for students to make that transition to middle school. But I'm hoping that when you meet some of the teachers, you'll feel better about that. And I know in some ways it was a mixed bag coming back. We talked about that the first day, the corona, for better or worse, the difficulty and the challenges have to do with the COVID precautions. On the other side, the ability to actually go to school. And I know that for some of the kids, they couldn't wait to get back. They got so tired of those video games and tired of sleeping in, and I'm tired of their little brothers and their dogs. And I'm sure, you're very sad to see them go, and sad to see them get out of your hair so you can get some of your work done. Sad to, well, some of you probably don't have this privilege of having that relaxing cup of coffee when the house is empty. I know you were really sad to get back to that, but I'm very happy to be back in school. I'm very happy to have your kids, and they are fantastic kids. I know that already. Sometimes I think, I've been doing this for almost 40 years, and I think, oh, do I want to do this again? And I look at the lesson plans and the training, and I'm not sure. And then the kids come in, oh yeah, I remember. That's why I like this. Middle school is a pivotal time, and we're all in different places as middle schoolers. And I really talk a lot. I'm not really a doctor, but I mean, not in the physical doctor sense, but it's a lot about genetics, right? I mean, some kids shoot up like weeds over the summer, and they will, and some kids are still very tiny. And unfortunately, in middle school, sometimes we're very quick to point out genetic differences. So that's one thing I like to talk to the kids about. It would be nice if we could celebrate those differences instead of feeling like there's kind of norm that we're all supposed to follow out there somewhere that we're not all getting. But that's what happens with popular culture and advertisements and hypnotizing us into believing that there's a certain kind of standard we should all follow, and we compare ourselves to each other. And it makes life hard for all of us, but for sixth graders, I think maybe that's one of the challenges. So hopefully you'll feel good about leaving your child with us teachers for 7 hours, because we are concerned about more than just their education. And they're like a third of the time with me, because reading and language arts take up quite a bit of the time of the day. So my name is Dr. Osborne, by the way, but the doctor doesn't mean a lot, except that I finished a course of study and a dissertation. I was hoping to be really an expert on something and really nail something down. Well, sort of, but not really. I don't feel particularly smarter than anybody else. In fact, my philosophy is that we are all smart about something. And so every kid that comes into my class, they might not be smart about writing and reading. I'm going to help them along on that journey. But they're smart about something. They're smart about socially smart, which is really sometimes difficult and challenging in a classroom environment, but it is really good. And the work environment, and in their future lives. It might drive you crazy with all the ways they talk and how social they are, but that's an intelligence. So is being a good athlete an intelligence, artistic, musical, building things, putting things together, that kind of thing. So there are such a wide variety of intelligences, and we're not really good always at school about emphasizing more than logical, mathematical, verbal, and linguistic. But I want you to know that I'm aware of that and look for ways to try to engage every student. That is my goal, to engage every student. Maybe not every minute, but that's one of my goals. So again, I don't really care if students call me Dr. Osborne, Mr. Osborne, Dr. O, Mr. O, the wizard. Not really, because I never was really that good at baseball, so I wouldn't make that good of a shortstop inside baseball joke. So I do want to tell you a little bit more about my philosophy of teaching, and I don't want to go on and on and on because I don't really in class. I mean, I've learned that in my 40 years of teaching that I can get away with maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then everybody's looking out the window and whatever. So maybe you're already looking out the window. But at any rate, I'll share a couple things with you. I tell my students, and I'm dead serious about this, I would rather be a middle school language arts teacher than rich and famous. And I mean, fame has a lot of baggage I wouldn't want to deal with. Rich, for some reason we think rich people in our world are much smarter than everybody else, and there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. There's not definitely an automatic happiness that comes with that. Of course, I told the kids about this, and I said, being poor, that's a different thing, right? That's a whole different challenge. But rich and famous is overrated in my book. And the 4 reasons I would rather be, and I'm happy to be a middle school teacher. It's a dream job for me. That's why I keep doing it and keep enjoying it. Is because of the middle school child. The middle school child, I feel like we said before, that's kind of where it's at, right? They're spontaneous, they're affectionate, they're appreciative, they live with eyes wide open, they're not hardened on particular views and issues. They listen to other voices, they're open-minded, they want to please, they have a great sense of humor, all those things. And your kid may not have all of those, but some of them, I'm sure, and in the right kind of environment, it's fun to see them come out of their shell, and that's one of my goals. So I enjoy that tremendously. I also feel like literature and reading helps to diffuse some of the lies that we get through advertisement and popular culture. And I told them the first day about how I think the hardest job in the world, I mean, your job's harder than mine, I can guarantee that. I would not want to be a California fireman right now, or maybe a police officer, or maybe somebody working as a rescue person in Louisiana or Texas. Our prayers and thoughts are with all those people. But the hardest job in the world, I believe, I'm convinced, is being a teenage girl, because the whole pressure of society comes down on you at this particular time in your life, and you have to learn how to deal with it. And I talk to my students about the look, and how our society says you have to have the look. And if you don't have the look, sorry, thanks for playing, but you're too tall, too skinny, too short, too many zits, too many freckles, braces, whatever, anything that makes you different, we're gonna make sure you know about it. Because somebody out there somewhere has told us that we're all supposed to be a certain way, which is a bold-faced lie. And I think reading literature, like the first book we read, Stargirl, is a lot about that and helps us to rethink that. So I think that's important, to find, to read literature for perspective, to see that the way I see things is not always the best way, and what's really bothering me right now might be nothing a few days from now, and I might totally forget about it a week from now. I'm trying to find perspective on what's really important. Writing, I feel like, is about voice. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but there are 7 billion different voices on the face of the earth. Every person has a different voice. I mean, what is a voice? It's just air coming across vocal cords and out lips. How can there be 7 billion different ways of doing that? We should be learning something from that, I think, that we all are unique, and not just our voice is unique, but the way we look at things and the way we express ourselves is unique. And if a student can find voice in writing to where they say something that nobody else has ever said that way before, but it resonates with others, that's powerful. That is, I mean, I think about, I play a little guitar and try to write music. I'm not very good at all that, but I can't imagine what it'd be like to be on the stage and have 30,000 people singing the words of the song you wrote, or even 30. I'd take three. That's powerful. I mean, sure, there's an ego trip thing involved, but that's not really what it's about. It's about resonance, right? It's making sure people are nodding and knowing exactly that you have put your finger on how they feel. And writing is a powerful way to do voice. Reading is a powerful way to do perspective. And both of those have to do with resonance. And those are the things I like teaching. So the first reason was that middle school child. Second was the literature and reading, what it can do. Third, as I think, these things, I hope that I become a better person through the teaching. And it's not to me about learning the skills, that's important. Meeting the standards is important. The assessments is important. But being a better person, if we can all be better people because of what we're talking about, then we can make it a better world, right? I mean, maybe that's a high goal, but that's why I stay in this. Um, and I sort of have a hidden agenda as my fourth reason. I've talked about it a little bit, that how I talk a lot to the kids about how what we really all want in life is not ice cream and not a yacht and not to go to the moon. We just want to belong and fit in and feel like we're accepted. If we could feel like we're accepted and we belong, we could do all kinds of things and wouldn't have to worry about it. But again, the pressure's on us to have that look and certain things to be that way. So if we can learn to have a discerning eye about popularity, about boyfriends, girlfriends, about clothes, about all those things. And if we can step into other people's shoes and see it from their side and have that empathy, that's powerful. So I'm really using language arts and reading as a cover to teach about perspective and empathy and resonance and voice. And I hope you're okay with that. So I like to top it all off. The sprinkle on the sundae, so to speak, is creativity. So if I can present a lesson in a creative way, I'm excited to go to school. So I'm often changing things on the way to school, and you'll see if I share things with you, it'll be best laid plans and sort of what I want to cover and what I definitely want to make sure they know how to do by the time the year's over. But how we get there, I'm always changing that. Because if it's the same old, I don't want to be there. I feel they're the same way. If I can tap into their intelligence, particular kind of intelligence, and their creativity, I don't have to worry about grades. They will, it will take off on its own. That doesn't happen that often, but I try to push a lot of different buttons. We learn grammar by doing a bowling game, or we have a contest about reading, or we write to present, or whatever, right? So I try to put them in situations where that creativity comes out. So I hope that helps you get to know a little bit who I am. Again, I will share with you the only homework I give is reading. My dream for every kid is to become a lifetime reader, have a place, a time, a book, a rhythm, and just find the joy of reading. I don't care what they're reading. I don't care if it's an audio book. I don't care if it's an ebook. I don't care if it's on their phone. I don't care if it's a newspaper. I know that some kids like reading history. Some people like reading science. Some people like reading about dinosaurs. I don't really care. As long as they're reading, again, they're developing that worldview, that perspective. They're finding what they're connected with. And so I demand it and I expect it. And I'm a little bit, if I micromanage anything, it's the reading. And so you'll see that I want your kids to read so many pages by certain dates, but I try to make it easy to track them. I don't want to pour book reports and stuff on them that make the reading, oh shoot, I have to do the book report. I want them to track it either with a bookmark or a quick little questionnaire, cash it in, go to the next book. Make that as easy as possible. So that's a big part of my grading. So in reading class, they should bring, I say that their book is their best friend. They should bring that best friend to class every day, everywhere they go, ready to read it, keep a bookmark, cash it in when they're done, grab another one. So that's the big part of my homework. There will be a project, but I know projects like a dirty word to parents. I'm a parent as well, but I will try to make that project, break it down into steps, make it easy, and make it fun and creative. That's kind of what we're shooting for. And the writing challenges, I'll send it to you on a slideshow what I'm really after. So thank you for listening. I know that got a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. It would have had 10 minutes in open house. This is probably a little bit longer than that. So you could have cut it off anytime. But thank you. I hope to meet you at some point. And thank you for sending your wonderful kids my way.